My name's Carl. I run a very successful business. But here's my problem. I make too much money. Way too much.
Mi salón de billar no genera tantos ingresos. Me gusta llevarlo y además es una buena pantalla. Claro que puedo registrar mucho efectivo en los libros, pero mi verdadero negocio lo hago por detrás.
Even after I buy the product and pay my distributors, I can clear up to 60 grand in one day. That sounds great, except it's all in cash. The money piles up and I have to find more and more ways to get it into the system and move it around before I can use it. It's not easy, and it's getting harder all the time. I can't do it by myself. That's why I have a team of placement specialists.
Claire habite au-dessus. Quand j'ai acheté l'immeuble, elle y était déjà. Elle gagne bien sa vie en tant que championne au billard. C'est elle qui blanchit mon argent dans les casinos. D'habitude, ça marche bien, quand elle boit pas trop. Claire dépose également mon argent dans mes comptes, mais ça, c'est une autre histoire.
Jimmy started out as a distributor, and then he wanted to learn the rest of the business. His laundering specialties are money transfers and insurance, and now he's trying to take over the stock market angle too. Renee is my sister. She owns a hair salon and we run some of the cash through it. Renee handles all the real estate deals, and the diamonds. It took a while to put this team together, and now it's starting to pay off.
When criminals receive the proceeds of crime, usually in the form of cash, they have to begin the laundering process. In order to get the money placed into the system or converted to a different form, they're willing to take a loss of 10, 20, or sometimes even 30 cents on each dollar. It's at this initial stage when illegal activities are most identifiable and law enforcement officers can prove the necessary connection between the money and the crime. This is important because each money laundering charge must be tied to a specific illegal activity, which in Carl's case is the sale of cocaine. It could be tied to profits from prostitution, or crimes like human smuggling or telemarketing fraud. The need to prove that connection is one reason that so many anti-money laundering efforts are focused on the initial placement phase. And this is why your participation is especially important in the placement stage of the money laundering cycle. Your reports and observations can help link the dirty money to the illegal activity, whether or not you're able to identify the original crime. In Chapter 2, we saw how your employer does an overall risk assessment by examining the threats and vulnerabilities of your industry and your organization. While you need to be aware of the big picture, in your day-to-day job, you're the one who evaluates the risk presented by each customer and each transaction. This part of anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing is called Know Your Customer, or Know Your Client, sometimes shortened to KYC. A critical first step is to make sure you know the identity of the person standing in front of you.
I think the most important thing that a frontline employee can do in respect of money laundering, or anti-money laundering more correctly, is to know their customer. To really understand who that customer is, what their financial needs are, and how they're going to use the financial institution for their day-to-day activities. Along the way, of course, they would have to properly establish the client's identification and gather all the requisite information, but that information is essential for the bank to meet its ongoing obligations in respect of anti-money laundering. But the basic understanding of who is my client, what is the nature of their business, what kind of transactions are they likely to do on a day-to-day basis, that's important. And that knowledge of the person is something that you're not going to get too well out of a system monitoring transactions. So invariably, the observation of a customer and the identification of unusual activity by employees, frontline employees, is often the most valuable piece of information we have in identifying and reporting potentially suspicious activity.
I don't know for sure what tipped them off. Was it Claire at the casino? Or at the teller? Maybe that screw-up of Jimmy's. Or it could have been we went too far with the insurance scam. It might have been the stockbroker, but I thought he'd be too scared to rat us out. Renee, she should have never bought that gold. We were doing fine with the diamonds. I'll bet it was the condo. When the agent went back to the office with 20 grand in 50s, somebody started asking questions.